Here's a video for Notes 4-2, which is rotation. So in the previous lesson, we learned about translations and reflections, and in this lesson, we're going to learn about rotations. Remember, these are all rigid transformations, which means it's a transformation where the size and the shape remains the same after the transformation. So starting off with the definition of rotation, a rotation is a transformation in which a point, line, or shape is turned around a point. So in this particular case, or in this particular class, we're going to be turning it around the origin, although you can turn, do a transformation around any point, but to keep it simple, we're going to do it around the origin. So when we're doing a rotation, there's two pieces of information that we need. We need the direction that we're turning, or doing the rotation, and then the number of turns. And that's given to us as a degree. And again, this is kind of a simplified version of rotations. You can turn a shape or rotate a shape around any point, and any number of degrees, but we're simplifying it in this particular class. So in terms of direction, there's two directions that's going to be given. It's either going to be clockwise or counterclockwise. So if we think about a clock and we look at the hands of the clock, we know that they turn in this direction. So when we are turning something clockwise, we are turning it to the right. Counterclockwise is the opposite of how the clock goes. So the opposite of the way the clock goes would be in this direction. And so counterclockwise, we would turn the figure to the left. And then in terms of how many degrees, it's going to be a certain amount of turns. So if we're turning it 90 degrees, that's going to be one turn. If it's 180, it's going to be two turns. And then 270 degrees, that's going to be three turns. And when I say turn, I mean a 90-degree turn. All right, so there's two particular methods that we're going to do in this class, and it's going to be difficult for me to show in the video how to do patty paper, but I will be able to show coordinate points. But I'm going to try my best to show patty paper. So the patty paper method is basically, and we can actually use patty paper for any of the transformations, but it seems a little unnecessary for the transformations we learned in the previous lesson. So patty paper, what we're going to do is we're going to trace the pre-image and the X and Y axis. Then we're going to do the rotation with the patty paper and plot the new points on the graph. We always label our graph using prime notation. And then the other method is called the coordinate points method. And this is where we do the rotation with the paper. We're going to write down the coordinates of the new points. Then we rotate the paper back to the original and plot the new points. Then we're going to label with prime notation. All right, so here's an example. We're going to use a coordinate points method. So it says, draw and label the image produced when IJK is rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. So first of all, let's figure out 90 degrees counterclockwise. Well, 90 degrees we know is one turn, and counterclockwise is to the left. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our shape and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. So I'm going to rotate my paper 90 degrees counterclockwise. And now what we're going to do is pretending like this is the new orientation. So now this is our new x-axis, this is our new y-axis. We're going to write down the points of our new figure. So our new j prime, is going to be 1, 4. Then K is going to be 3, 5, or K prime. Then we're going to do I prime, which is 4, 4. So now that we have our points, we actually need to rotate our graph back to the original. So I'm going to rotate it back to the original. And now we're going to plot these points, and this is going to be my transformation. So first plotting J prime, which is 1, 4. So we're going to go 1, 4. So my new point is right here, and we're going to label that J prime. Next point, we're going to do 3, 5. So 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my new point is up here, and that's going to be K prime. And then lastly, we're going to do 4, 4. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So my new point is right here, and we're going to label that I prime. Okay, So now I'm going to show another example using patty paper. So I can't exactly do this, but I'm going to try my best using the controls that I have on my iPad. So it says draw and label the image produced when IJKL is rotated 180 degrees clockwise about the origin. So 180 degrees clockwise, which we abbreviate as CW, is going to be 2 turns. Remember, clockwise is the direction of the clock, so it's 2 turns to the right. And actually, for 180 degrees, it doesn't really matter which direction you go, because no matter what, you're basically going to end up upside down. So the patty paper method, we're going to trace our figure and our X and Y axis. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trace my X and Y axis. And then I'm going to trace my figure. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our figure and we're going to rotate it 180 degrees clockwise. So that's going to be 2 turns. So there's 1 turn and then there's 2 turns. And on my iPad, I'm not going to be able to get it perfectly straight, but we can basically see where our new points are going to be. So this point right here, that's going to be J prime. This point right here, so it's going to be right here, that's going to be K prime. Then right above K prime, we have the point right here, which is going to be L prime. And then lastly, we have our point right here, which is going to be I prime. So here's my new figure. And there it is using patty paper. All right, here's one more example. So we're rotating 90 degrees clockwise, which is going to be 1 turn to the right. And since the patty paper method doesn't work too great on the iPad, I'm going to go ahead and do the coordinate points method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my graph and I'm going to turn it 90 degrees clockwise. So that's going to be 1 turn to the right. And then I'm going to write down my new coordinates. So starting with, and remember, when we write down our new coordinates, this is our new x-axis and this is our new y-axis. So starting with maybe the point x, or actually maybe I'll go in order of the letters. Let's start with the point W. So the point W, that's going to be -3, -3. So W prime, -3, -3. Now we're going to do the point X. So here's X, that's 1, -2. So X prime is 1, -2. Now we're looking at Y, so Y is here, so that's going to be 0, 3. And then we're going to do Z, so Z is going to be -5, 2. So Z prime is -5, 2. So now what we need to do is we need to take our figure and we're going to rotate it back 90 degrees. So I'm going to go back to the original. And now I'm going to plot these points. So starting with W prime, I'm going to do -3, -3. So here's W prime. Now we're going to do X, which is 1, -2. So this is X prime. Next, we're going to do 0, 3. So 0, 3. That's Y prime. And then lastly, -5, 2. So -5, 2 is going to be here. So there's Z prime.